August 17th has come and gone, and the way people buy and sell homes has forever changed. As a realtor, how do you adapt and thrive? Well, I'm going to break down the newest formula for success. Now, understand, much of these steps you have already or should have already been doing, with maybe a slight shift in focus or the way you communicate it. But if you haven't been doing it this way, then there's no time like the present. So let's break it all down. Here are the 10 steps to the perfect home buying process for your buyers. Step 1, find a buyer. Okay, this step is going to require its own segment in the coming weeks, and I promise I'm going to bring it to you.
I hate waiting.
Because finding the buyer is the hardest, most labor-intensive part of what our current market requires. So next week, I'll give you some strategies to help here. But for right now, we're just going to have to assume by some miracle that you found a buyer or they found you, just for the sake of time. Step 2, set up the buyer consultation. So you have to set up a time to meet with your buyer so they can see your face. In person is the best. If you got to do a Zoom or a FaceTime call, fine. Whatever you have to do so clear communication can be had. If they can't see your face, then you're going to be at a disadvantage. So get in front of them. You need to connect on a personal level, not just with a phone call. Make them feel like they're your number one priority, because they are. These days, transparency and communication are the most important things that buyers are looking for, especially in this ever-changing, complicated home buying process. So the first meeting is crucial in establishing your value. Step 3, establish their needs. Now that you're in front of them, it's time for you to put on your listener hat and establish your home buyers' wants and needs. Dive deep into what they're looking for in a home or a neighborhood. Get to know their timeline, motivation for buying, or which of these things is most important to them at that time. Take notes, ask questions, turn off your phone and be engaged. This is where you figure out the most important things to them and adapt your presentation to match what they want and not just what you think they need. Number 4, establish your value. Post August 17th, this part is the most critical. It starts here, but it will be the theme of every other part of this process. Your number one job is to negotiate on their behalf to find them the most home for the least amount of money. And this is where you share that really big brain of yours. You want to say things like, based on what you've shared with me, I think this neighborhood would be best ideal for your family. Or based on what you're sharing with me, I think this kind of home would suit your needs the best. This is really where it's the most important thing to be an expert in your area. When you can recall specific neighborhoods, specific builders, or areas that would suit your buyer's needs just off the top of your head, you come off as a true expert at your craft. You're a house hunting Jedi among mere mortals. So now that you've established their needs and your expertise, it's time for the next step. Number 5, explain the process. Be a teacher, not a teller. Now, this is the longest part of the process, but plays the biggest role in establishing your value. Your buyers might know how to browse Zillow, but they don't know the ins and outs of the buying process. That is where you come in. Break it down in simple ways that they can understand. Remember, it's their first time, or maybe their first time in the last 5 years. So what's the buyer's agent role? What do you do? Now, in the past, you could say something like, I'm going to be your guide through this wide world of real estate. Everything from property searches to negotiations, I've got you covered. But today is not like it was before. Now you have to be very specific and unfortunately very long-winded, just like this. So as your agent in the process, I'll handle the following things on your behalf. Property search and showings. Search properties through the local MLS. Arrange and conduct property showings. Highlight key features and potential issues during viewings. Market analysis and valuation. Analyze, compare properties to determine their fair market value. Provide insights on market trends and neighborhood dynamics. Offers and negotiations. Help draft offer letters. I'll lead negotiations for optimal terms and price. I'll review contracts and disclosures. I'll do transaction management. I'll coordinate with all parties involved, like the lender, the inspector, the appraiser, etc. I'm going to oversee contract terms and ensure that they're met. I'm going to attend closing and address any final details. I'll give you my expert guidance, explain the home buying process from start to finish, provide advice on specific ways to meet your goals in the current market, and offer insights on the resale potential for all properties. Oh, and by the way, I also offer some additional services like relocation assistant. I can provide relocation packages for out-of-town buyers. I offer detailed information on neighborhoods and local amenities. I do post-purchase support. I provide lists of reputable contractors and repairs for renovations. I offer complimentary market analysis once a year for tax appeals and financial planning. I offer you enhanced property information as a whole. I pull detailed tax records on properties of interest. I provide property archive reports when requested. I do off-market property access. I reach out to owners of unlisted properties that may interest you as the buyer. I negotiate fees with for sale by owner sellers. I have specialized market research. I conduct in-depth analysis of market preferences for specific floor plans or areas. areas. And I can provide detailed information on current issues like oil tanks, lead paint, or radon gas. That is a lot.
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
But that is the point, because your fee is a lot and your time is valuable. And since the person in front of you might have to pay that fee, they need to know what they're getting for their money. Again, transparency, communication, and emphasize the negotiation piece. Break down the math for them. Your job is to figure out how to bridge the gap between how much cash they will need for the transaction and how much they actually have for the transaction, using seller concession, price reductions, repair amendments, etc., etc. Again, show your brain and flex your knowledge. Remember, your job is to also retain this client and their network of friends and family so they think of you the next time there's a decision to buy or sell a home. So the more you can line out all the things that you can do for them, especially after the purchase, then you can demonstrate an even higher level of value that you bring to this transaction. And oh, by the way, you also need to let them know what the seller's agent role in this process is. Especially in this new environment, it's critical to remind your buyers that the seller's agent is not on their side. They're working to get the most money for their seller. So if they think that it might be a cheaper option just to reach out to the agent that's listing the property, then they must understand that that person is not in their corner, but you are. The selling agent is trying to sell the home for the most amount of money and net their clients the most cash at the end of the transaction. So they are not your buyer's friend. So they can't call the selling agent to check out the property, but as the old saying goes, buyer beware. All right, step number 6, dive into the fees. Do not dodge them. So it's time to talk money. Don't shy away from it. Tackle it head on. Your clients need to understand the costs involved in buying a home, including your fee. Start with the upfront costs. Walk them through everything from earnest money to inspections to appraisals. Then talk about the fees paid at closing, taxes, insurance, lender fees, their down payment, etc. And of course, your fee. And again, you have to address this head on. Don't hide from it. Don't gloss over it. After all, you are a professional and you do this every day, so it's no big deal. It's just part of the process. And it is very critical that you control the conversation on this. Don't let someone else bring this up to your buyers if you haven't addressed it. If they hear it first from someone else after they met you, then they lose trust and confidence in you and your service. So just explain to them what your fee is and how it can be paid. You could say something like this: in order for me to do all these things that I've laid out for you and to have the advantage of my experience in negotiating the best deal for you, we have to sign an agreement to work together. By the way, do you know how it is that I get paid? Well, I make a portion of the sales price when you purchase a house, and I can get paid one of 3 ways. It can be negotiated that the seller will pay my fee in full. It can be negotiated that the seller will pay a portion of my fee and you'll make up the difference, or you might have to pay all of my compensation if the seller does not agree to. But oh, by the way, you're going to know all of this before we even walk in to see a property. Here's what my standard fee is, and now the negotiation is just about who pays it. Very straightforward, very simple. And if your client's worried about affording your fee, then present them with options: a reduced menu of services, a flat fee, or even recommend that they explore other agents, which, if you do your job well, will likely bring them back to you anyway when they realize your value compared to everyone else that they talk to. So then we get to important number 7. Get that buyer's rep agreement signed. You've laid it all out, and now it's time to seal the deal. Get the buyer's rep agreement signed, and if they're hesitant, then give them some time to talk it over. But set another meeting right then. Never leave the house without a signed agreement or a follow-up appointment. It's a simple rule of sales. Number 8, get them pre-approved. Connect your buyers with a lender you trust. They need someone who's going to reinforce all the important points that you've discussed and help them secure the best possible deal. Think of your lender partner as Robin to your Batman. You need them to get this job done. And right now, it's more critical than ever to have someone on your team who can help structure the best and most affordable way to get your clients across the finish line. And oh, by the way, if you need someone to ride shotgun in your Batmobile, give me a call. I'm more than happy to team up. Step number 9, the fun part: find the property and negotiate. This is the part where you really get to flex those brain muscles. When your buyers find a home that they love, it's time to dig into the seller situation. Fish for information. Call that agent. What's the seller's motivation? Price is just one piece of the puzzle. Find out their timeline, what they need, and how flexible they are on concessions. You got to negotiate like a pro. Start high and ask for everything. Remember, negotiation is an art form and you are the artist. Because once you got that deal under contract, you and your buyer are in the driver's seat at that point, because you can always renegotiate after the inspection. And finally, step number 10, close the deal and earn that future business. It's closing time, so make sure that your buyers feel like they got the best deal ever, because they did, thanks to you. Celebrate the win. Remind them of everything that you did to make the process smooth and successful. Make them feel special on closing day because you want to build that long-term value. You got to stay in touch. Offer services like tax exemption reminders, contractor referrals, and regular market updates because you're not just closing one deal, you're securing a client for the rest of their life. Remember, guys, every transaction is an opportunity to create more business. Use each win to build a network of referrals and keep showing your value long after the deal's done. In this new era of commissions, it's all about being proactive, transparent, and most importantly, invaluable to your clients.